This is Open Mic, and we are back here to the last segment of our program. And we're going to be dealing with the marketing importance of online marketing and the hi-fi in taxis. And I'm going to ask Mr. Destang to handle that for me.
Sure. Well, I sometimes say that if you want to know where the future is going, you just have to talk to your children. I think my 5-year-old is a prophet. Antoine he's obviously, these children are a lot more intelligent than we were, for sure.
Yeah.
But when we travel and we go on a long trip in a taxi, he gets out his tablet, plays a few games, and after a few minutes, he says, Daddy, is there Netflix in here? And you laugh at that and you say, well, no, Antoine. You explain to him, there's no internet inside of the taxis. Now, some time ago, I came across an article about Movenpick. They're a hotel chain from Switzerland, and they've got, they're all over Europe. And they are all over the world, in fact. They've got hotels and restaurants all over the world. And Movenpick is now offering free Wi-Fi in the airport shuttles. Now, you'd say, well, why would somebody want internet and free Wi-Fi when they're on a taxi?
Yeah.
But that is something that is very serious. And I thought, why could we not do this in taxis in St. Lucia? What would it take? Only to find out that Dubai is actually planning to do this by the end of this year. And London has already had free Wi-Fi in some of their taxis for the last 2 years. So what is required really is a good, stable 4G network for it to happen. It's as simple as plugging in a Wi-Fi enabled dongle, a little USB stick into a USB drive in a car. A lot of new vehicles have one, and if they don't, they can buy an adapter that plugs into your cigarette lighter, and there you go, you have Wi-Fi inside of your taxi. Now you're saying, who would want that? A lot of people now are planning trips on their smartphones, they are using their tablets. And a business person getting into a taxi, for example, for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Who's been here a few times, they don't want to see the scenery over and over again. They want to use their phone and they don't want to roam, and they want to be able to check their emails. That 5-year-old who you want to keep him busy for a little while, put on Netflix. The persons who want to plan their trip, because people are there here and they don't necessarily know all the tours and attractions that they're going to do. And here we perhaps have a captive market of people who are definitely interested in St. Lucia. They're in a taxi, they're here already. And you could perhaps sell online market, via online marketing, sell an app to them. As soon as they log into the Wi-Fi, say download a Destination St. Lucia app to get $50 worth of discounts on restaurants and tours and attractions. And in London, what they are doing is the taxi drivers don't pay anything for the Wi-Fi. It's all paid for by advertising, by online advertising. So it's something that's happening elsewhere. And if we're already discussing at the SLHTA with some of the service providers of 4G services, an idea to make something like this come to fruition. Again, you can't do, just like the project with the SLDB and the farmers, you can't solve all of the problems at once. You take one particular problem, you do a pilot project, you see how it works. And we cannot put Wi-Fi on all of the taxis all at once. But if we did it with a few and can advertise it and market it, and it's very important to people. And in London, they did a survey, and 75% of people said that they would choose a Wi-Fi enabled taxi over a normal taxi. And their trips are not necessarily as long as a 90-minute trip. Yeah. So, and it sort of leads into the question of online marketing and the importance of it. Because really and truly, it's becoming more and more important. It's not just an emerging, marketing medium anymore. It is becoming the preeminent marketing medium. Google releases a survey of that I have here of affluent travelers. They survey about 5,000 affluent travelers every year to get an idea of how do they make their bookings, how do they plan their vacation. And we have here. They asked them what are the top travel sources of travel planning, what are the top travel planning sources, and the number one source was the internet, 87%. Magazines and newspapers, where we unfortunately spend a lot of our destination and even individual hotel marketing dollars on, was only at 28%. Yeah. Radio was all the way down at 4%. So these are we still, I think, sort of stuck in the 20th century way of marketing a lot of the time, and it's not to say that these other mediums are not important, but the internet has more than surpassed it for travel planning, even for booking. Now I understand that there's some markets where people still book with a travel agent and a tour operator, and that's fine. The UK, Europe is very much like that. But even some of these tour operators are now taking their bookings online. British Airways Holidays, for example, takes 90% of their business through their website. So we have to be where travelers are. We have to get them at the stage where they are most likely to be inspired. And the top source of inspiration, other than friends and families, was the internet. Not magazines, not television. They were very, very far down in that. And we've really embraced that over the last few years at Bay Gardens Resorts. It's not our only source of marketing. You'll still see us in magazines somewhere. But our primary source of marketing has been online, and it's really helped to change our fortunes to a large degree.
How have you found it with your hotel?
No, we initially, when we first opened up, because we opened up at a time when nobody was interested in travel, in 2009, it was dead, and we had no other way but to look for business on our own, right? And initially, almost all our business came direct off the internet, and we were fortunate that review sites were very kind to us. People that posted reports on it, liked the resort, so that helped and had a snowball effect for us. And he clearly allowed us to survive at an early stage of the game. But I think what makes the internet so interesting is that it puts the consumer in charge, right?
Yes.
It's interactive. It's you can click on here, you can go there. If you have a magazine in front of you, well, you can turn the page. But you can cross-reference everything on the internet. And if you went to the Calabash Cove website today, there's a 360 tour of the resort where you can stop, turn up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
You could go into a room, you can turn on the TV in the room, and you see a video of the room.
Yeah.
And that's all for free. Remember, it's for free for the guy that looks at it. He doesn't need to buy a magazine. He can do it anywhere, on the taxi in London or somewhere else.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And Sanovnik is right. The use of mobile devices is up tremendously. And if you quote a statistic today, it's already outdated next week because more and more people are gravitating.
And more people are also making bookings online. We've seen about 150% increase in the number of bookings made on these things, on tablets. And that is consistent with what Expedia and others are reporting. So, it's now not just about the internet per se, but you have to look at mobile as well. And, I think the other thing that I like about marketing online is it's a lot more affordable for a smaller hotel. We don't have a very big marketing budget.
That's right.
And, I'm not a marketing person by profession. I'm a finance person. Yeah. And, when I came in to Bay Gardens, we still do print advertising, but I couldn't quite understand if I spend $10,000 on a magazine ad, I don't know how many people see it.
That's right.
And it's very hard for me to know how many people made a booking because of it. With good targeted online advertising, I can take a fraction of that, decide that I only want to target people in Trinidad who are women, who are between 25 and 50.
So you go straight to the source.
So you go straight to the person and you target it, you spend as much as you want. If something is not working, you stop the campaign, or you ramp it up if it's working well. The returns we've seen have just been phenomenal through Facebook, through Google, through TripAdvisor in particular.
And there are opportunities too. There's constant contact, for example.
Yes, email marketing.
Where you can pursue past guests, people that have certain interest groups, people that have subscribed to certain services. So you clearly have a bit more of a targeted approach as the advertiser,
and a very high rate of budget, and a very high rate of return. And what I think it does for small hotels in particular is it sort of levels the playing field a little bit. You're now able. You may not be able to afford a $20,000 or $10,000 ad in Travel and Leisure, but you can spend $500 a month on this online ad and be right up there with the big hotels and compete with them, and people will get to see you through these mediums as well.
Or a $3,000 brochure contribution.
Exactly, because a lot of travel, you don't understand that being in these brochures is not free. Being in Travel Impressions and Virgin, you have to spend $3,000 for a little quarter-page ad, and you don't know how many people even saw it. So it's just, and I think the Tourist Board certainly has come a long way in that regard. I know they recently hired an online marketing officer, but the important thing now is to actually put those resources use, the human resource that you have to full use, and to embrace a lot of these ideas that you're seeing a lot of the individual hotels making use of, because I think it has the potential to allow us to sort of regain our control of our sovereignty and not be so reliant on the middlemen. Not that you don't want to rely on the top operators, you need them, but you need to also find ways to take control of your own marketing
no question
budget.
About it. Gentlemen, we're just about wrapping up today, but before I do that, I want to mention that we've had very good response from our listeners. I can't read all the emails, but the last email I got was which said, I had the pleasure today of the first time in my adult life of listening to a program chaired by yourself and contributed by persons who are extremely knowledgeable and influential, Mr. Peterkin and Mr. Fred DeVoe. Many of the topics discussed were extremely interesting to me, as for the last 4 years I have struggled with the notion of leaving the state of St. Lucia to raise my son elsewhere due to lack of social and proper medical benefits. As a family of 3, my husband and I live in a wonderful gated community, and our son attends private school, very different to how we both were raised. Having worked with Peter Foster as his personal assistant for 12 years in 2011, decided to resign my position to start my own small business, giving me an opportunity to be able to be more active in my son's life. I now own and run a small property management company. Many of the topics discussed and raised, especially by Mr. DeVoe, has been an eyesore for the last 2 years, and the fact that these problems get considerably worse day by day as there is no sense of community and responsibility by our local people, and more importantly by those government leaders we elect. My reason for writing is purely relating to the tourism industry. It was refreshing to hear Mr. DeVoe say that he took a walk along the cruise ship tourist route, as these are things that I have done in my line of work with many guests. I have done this in the Rodney Bay area, Castries, Grosley, along our beaches, Pigeon Island, and so on, and many of them, and everywhere. It is shameful, the product we are selling. How do I get the tourist ministry or officials who can make a change to listen to the plight of our tourists? No one is listening. Help. It will be a pleasure to dialogue further if you are in a position to make some suggestions. Thanking you for a wonderful program. You know, I just want to elaborate slightly on that comment, because in the Rodney Bay area, for instance, on the Strip, I have spoken for the last 20 years concerning an odor arising at where the Lime restaurant was, and it has been left unattended. There are complaints from all our guests and many others, and all it takes is a simple grease trap to get rid of this thing. We can't take care of all the difficulties overnight, but I think the powers that be should listen, please listen, and let's do something about it. And this is Open Mic closing down. Until next Sunday at the same time, I wish to thank you. Bye.